Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Can you remember back in grammar school, elementary school, there was a kid, always a kid, on a playground who every time he lost a game, he would go crying and saying, "Oh, the rules aren't fair, the rules aren't fair," and he'd go crying off to his mom. Well, I'm going to explore a little bit more about that kid because he's still alive and well, so stick around. That kid seems to be alive and well today and is probably leading the Democrat Party right now. It seems that whenever the Democrats are losing a battle, they want to change the rules. So they're going to go kicking and screaming, but they want to change the rules. The first rule that they want to change is to abolish the Electoral College. Now, the Electoral College has been around for a long, long time. It's stipulated in the U.S. Constitution. It was amended, I think the 12th Amendment addressed the certain amount of changes and all that. But the current philosophy now, according to the Democrats, is we've got to do away with the Electoral College. It's the popular vote that really should be the vote that elects the president. And I think they're trying to use part of the historical origins or a theory about the historical origins of the Electoral College. And one of those theories, and I'm not sure it's true or not, but that's going to be up to the listener here, but one of the theories is that it was created to preserve slavery. Now, our friend Jamili Hill, former ESPN spokeswoman, decided that, yep, the Electoral College was there to preserve slavery. And just recently, Representative Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee, said that the Electoral College was conceived in sin, and referring to that same theory about the Electoral College being created to preserve slavery. Well, just as a reminder to certain of the Democrats that want to use this as an excuse, slavery was abolished in 1865 by the Republican Abraham Lincoln. So, that excuse holds no water for this guy. The Electoral College is a pretty interesting dynamic. My sense was that the Founding Fathers were very concerned, back when the Constitution was written, that the communication, that the whole electoral process did not have the impetus that it has today, doesn't have the grassroots communications that it does today. I mean, today you can just flick on your TV, go to the internet, open up your mail, and get all kinds of information about who's running, what their platforms are, what their platforms are not, and you know who's really running and why they're running. Back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, that form of communication just didn't exist. So the Founding Fathers were thinking very simply, let's have the states individually elect electors based on the vote in that state, so that those electors then can pass judgment and elect qualified candidates. So that's where it really took its origin. It maintains the state's apportionment of the votes based on their population. So California has more electoral votes than Wyoming, but bottom line is that they're still going to have equal representation based on basically their population that allows for this kind of a thing to really, really happen the way it should. Now, there is an argument to be made on the other side that the popular vote should be really swinging it. In all 52 or 50 states, the governors of those states are elected by popular vote within that state. So why shouldn't the ultimate governor, the President of the United States, also be elected by popular vote? I'm thinking that the Founding Fathers were probably a little bit more savvy about how things really need to be operating. I don't think that the election that's upcoming will be affected by any of these proposed changes to the Electoral College, but that's 2020 and it's only 18 months away or so for that election. Maybe 2024, who knows? But they want to make the change because Clinton, who ran against Trump in 2016, ended up with 2.9 million popular votes more, but he kind of cleaned the slate on the Electoral College vote, and he is president. Happened to be 4 with George Bush and Al Gore. I think Al Gore had a slight advantage in the popular vote, but the Electoral College vote put Bush in as president. So that's the first thing that they want to change, because they want to make sure that the popular vote is the one that elects the president. Because Clinton lost, because Al Gore lost, they want to make sure that those kinds of happenings don't happen again. The second thing they want to do is pack the Supreme Court. Now, I looked up pack the Supreme Court, and it really goes back to a concept that FDR had when he was not able to get all his New Deal through the court system. The Supreme Court turned down major sections of the New Deal, saying it was unconstitutional. Well, guess what he wanted to do? He wanted to go change the rules like a good Democrat would. So he's going to go change the rules. So he comes up with this, what did they call it? The Judicial Procedures Reform Bill of 1937. Pretty odd way to go about it, but here's what it says. It would allow the president to appoint additional justices, up to 6, for each justice sitting on the Supreme Court that reaches age 70 years and 6 months. So in theory, I guess, there would be 15 judges that could be appointed by the president, and in that case, he was a sitting Democrat. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if they're 7 or 9 or 11 or 15. A good odd number is really the best to determine the outcome of a vote. When we end up with an even number, you can end up with a tie, and who knows what happens in those kind of oddball situations. But to pack the Supreme Court, the theory that the Democrats have got right now is, hey, we're going to win in 2020, so the Democrats will be in charge. We're going to add a whole bunch more seats. They haven't really said how many they want, but however many they want will be more than the current 9 that's on the Supreme Court now. And we'll allow the Democrat president to fill all those extra seats that we approve with folks that lean Democrat, that lean liberal, and we'll pack the court that way. That's what they're looking to do. They want to change that rule too. Now, the Republicans are starting to think, well, maybe that's not such a good idea. And they've actually come up with some talk anyway about fostering an amendment to limit the number of justices on the Supreme Court to 9. Now, they're talking an amendment to the Constitution, which is a big, long, drawn-out process requiring a final vote of 3/4 of the states in order for it to become an official amendment. So the third thing that our Democrats want to do is give 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds the right to vote. Well, I think it's kind of crazy. First of all, my first thought was these kids have not yet reached the age of majority. So whatever they do, it can't be considered legal because they haven't reached the age of majority. They can't enter contracts. There's a lot of things that they're prevented on doing by virtue of their age until they reach the age of majority. It's 18 right now. Used to be 21, but that got changed. Now it's 18. But going to 16, I know why the Democrats want to do that, because an awful lot of 16-year-old kids are very, very impressionable. They're very liberal in their thinking, and because they're impressionable, the Democrats think that they're going to vote for Democrats, and that's why they want to change it. A lot of very interesting things, but I'm still reminded of that kid in 4th grade who said, oh, it's all unfair, the rules aren't fair, the rules aren't fair, and he wanted to change the rules as he ran home to his mommy. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.